Hey guys, welcome back to the series for Let's Play Planet Coaster, working on Barrier Blast Q-Line for Fireball. Now this is not really pertaining to the video, but I did recognize or find that the volume for my last video, at least on my microphone, was pretty low, and I figured out what the problem was, so this time I kind of fixed it a little bit. Hopefully it's not too much louder than the last episode, so for those of you at the same volume as the last episode, hopefully I'm not blowing your eardrums out. But anyways, back to the video. So in this episode we're working on the Q-Line for Fireball, and it was something that took me a little while to kind of conceptualize. I knew what I wanted to go for the station, but then it came to the Q-Line area, and then started thinking to myself, like, what do I want to do to make this look at least semi-realistic, or at least something that suits the station style. So the first thing that came to mind was the cattle pin style Q-Line. Now I know it's something that's not 100% authentic in this. Like, I did what I could to make it look as much like a cattle pin style Q-Line. I know some of the people in the community have talked about or asked for an actual cattle pin style Q-Line area, but using the grid for Planet Coaster's pathing system seems to work at least somewhat decently, or well enough that it looks, you know, acceptable, I guess. So anyways, as you can see here, I started working on, I guess, what I consider the beam support for the roofing, which I would add later in the video. The whole idea of this area was to kind of give like a shaded area for people to stand while they're waiting in line. I'll tell you right now, God forbid you have a park like Great America. Now don't get me wrong, I really like Great America, but the one thing they need to work on is their shade. Now some people who've been to the park will know there's plenty of trees, there's relatively decent landscaping, but unlike other parks, Great America does not like to invest too much money on their Q-Line area and their stations. So the whole joke about California's Great America is that if you're willing to get sunburned to stand in line for every ride, you can do that, because you know what, there is no stations really for Great America rides. Most of them are outdoor stations, if you even want to call it a station. But anyways, yeah, that was kind of the incentive for making the shaded area for this Q-Line, because I know personally what it feels like to be standing in the blazing sun while waiting in line for an hour for a ride, and it's definitely not fun. But yeah, so I started working on a part that was kind of strange. Some people probably wouldn't even consider doing this, but like, I figured I was already here. But you notice that I started making little, like, I wouldn't say like garbage area, or more like a storage area, I guess, for like some parks, like when they have service areas in the back of like rides or near rides. But in this case I thought, okay, well, it's already near the ride. I put a little like gate and everything to go to the storage area. And I know at least in like Great America and some of the other places, Discovery Kingdom has it as well. You can see it kind of when you're on Kong. God forbid you go on Kong because it's an SLC. We all know how that goes. But yeah, you can see like the service area and stuff. And I know I didn't go on a full out service area on that one, but at least I thought it was an interesting touch to the Q-Line area, even if you don't see it as you're standing in line. The people looking at the park itself, like, you know, like you and I, when we look at that, you can see those little details. But anyways, yeah, I started trying to do a couple other things. I may or may not remove those little fences I added towards the elevated areas for the Q-Line. I thought it looked kind of interesting. It kind of went with like the old USA style town look that I had kind of in the front of where my entrance is. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting touch to it. I know I had the same color scheme as the ride, so I figured that would be an interesting touch to the Q-Line. Even if it didn't necessarily stay forever, like I may eventually just change it and remove it altogether, possibly, depending on what they add in the April update, actually. Which is another thing I wanted to talk about in this video. There's going to be some details I'm going to be kind of leaving out for now, mostly because I'm waiting to see what kind of things they add in the April update. I'm aware that they're adding more fences, which I'm super excited about, because let me tell you, there's so many times where I make parks and Planet Coaster where I really just want a like very basic sign, or I'm sorry, not sign, basic fence, but I can't find them, and either I'm too lazy to make one myself, or I just can't think of pieces that would make a fence that I'm looking for. So I'm really excited basically for those fences that are coming out, and I do think that we're going to at least make some episode at some point in the future where I essentially kind of go back and look at different segments of the park, and I start adding the stuff that I think looks best based on what we get for our April update. and I hope that at that point I'll be able to make this park look even better. I know some of you guys may have seen some of my other videos. I try to pay a lot of attention to detail when it comes to making parks. Like obviously I can still improve, but I think there's a lot of pieces that are missing that will really bring out the attention to detail that I can possibly do. Like right now I'm kind of limited to whatever we have in the game, which isn't necessarily bad, but I do think at some point creativity can only bring you so far, and I'm really hoping that those pieces that they add to the game will really at least give me an opportunity to work with more stuff and hopefully make things that I couldn't have made earlier with the stuff that we already have. So anyway, I was working on this kind of store that's going to be kind of near the ride. The idea of the store was more or less to be like a gift shop for the ride. I know some rides at some parks will actually have gift shops. I know Six Flags Discovery Kingdom doesn't really have that for too many rides, but I know Great America, at least their headliner ride, Gold Striker, which is by far my favorite GCI at the moment, they have like a whole gift shop right for the ride as you exit, and I thought that was a really interesting idea for Fireball. Even though it's not really going to be my headliner ride, it's going to be more or less like an introduction ride for people interested in going on bigger roller coasters, but not the biggest ones, which I know this is kind of off topic again, but I think that's something that Great America excels pretty well at. They have a relatively decent depth of roller coasters at their park, and I think that with this particular park, I'm going to be trying to do that as well. But anyways, back to the topic about the store. Yeah, I thought the store would be an interesting touch to the ride itself. Now, I told you guys in the last video, my disclaimer of architectural design, I'm not super great at that. I'm going to try to get better at it. I'm going to improve through this series, hopefully. But I know it's not super inspiring, but it was a nice little like addition to the station. It wasn't just like a wall, and I figured there was a little block space in between it, so I figured I'd add a little store. Yeah, but earlier I was also talking about the fences for the queue line area. I did that on the exit as well. I think that one actually came out fairly well. That one, in comparison to the other one, I had like a small section where the elevation was just too sharp and it wasn't really a way to connect the fences before, but I was able to do it on the exit because the queue line, or I'm sorry, not the queue line, but the path was actually angled low enough that I thought it was actually connectable in that case, so I did that. Which actually brings me to another topic, and that's regarding the degrees of upward and downward for the pathing. I think that with the two preset angles, I think one is like just the gradual one, which I have on my exit, and one's also with stairs. I think while those can be good, sometimes it's really nice to have free degree of movement with those angles, because I don't necessarily always want those strict degrees for going up and down stairs. Sometimes like if I want to just make a gradual like incline, I don't necessarily want to use the degrees that they already give you, mostly because they don't always work for the exact scenario that I'm working on. But yeah, hopefully they add that in the future, and I think a lot of people would be happy to see that. Anyways, I started working on this bathroom at the end of the ride, or at the exit of the ride. I thought that'd be kind of a nice touch, since I noticed at Great America that there were a lot of bathrooms really close to the entrance or exit of the ride. I guess mostly just for convenience, right? Like not everybody has a strong stomach, or in other words, sometimes it can be really, really nice just to have that area to I guess escape when you're not feeling necessarily well after the ride. I'm kidding, but I thought it'd be kind of like a nice little touch to the area, since I didn't really know what else to do with that small space, but I figured that'd probably be the best thing to do. It was more at least relevant to the park and seemed relatively realistic. But I'm gonna let you guys know that we're probably gonna end somewhat soon, so I'm gonna leave you guys with some cinematic shots of the area that I created in this episode, and hopefully I see you guys in the next episode when we start working on the scenery for Fireball, something that I'm really excited about actually, and I hope you guys are excited too, since that's like my favorite part. But anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See ya!